What happens when the man who signs your paycheck is standing 3 feet away, wearing a name tag and breaking down cardboard? Isaac Weller wiped the sweat off his brow and reached for another box of canned soup. He'd been stocking shelves for 2 hours straight in Store 9, a mid-sized grocery location tucked between an old strip mall and a fast food joint off the highway. He wore a faded polo, khaki pants, and a name tag that read Rick. The baseball cap and fake beard helped with the disguise. He kept his back hunched a little, wore thick glasses, and didn't speak unless spoken to. 12 stores. That's what he'd inherited from his father. A chain of grocery stores built from scratch over 25 years. Isaac had taken over 5 years ago, and under his watch, the stores had grown, but so had the gap between him and the ground-level reality. Lately, complaints had been trickling in long checkout lines, staff quitting without notice, and one too many, we'll look into it, emails from his district managers. So he decided to get his hands dirty. Store 9 had never met him before. Most of the staff were new, and the last time he'd been to this location was at the grand reopening 3 years ago. He figured it was the perfect place to blend in and see how things really ran. "Rick, you almost done with aisle 6? A voice barked from behind. Isaac turned to see a short man in his 40s, stocky, with a clipboard in hand. His name tag read Dale's store manager. "Just about," Isaac replied, keeping his voice soft. Dale gave a half nod and walked off, yelling into his walkie. "Clean up on Frozen." Again. "Where the hell is Kyle?" Isaac kept his head down. He wasn't here to judge too quick. Stores got busy. Things slipped. But something felt off. The energy on the floor was tight. Not just busy, tense. He'd seen 3 cashiers up front, and not one had taken a sip of water in over an hour. There was a line stretching halfway to the produce section. He watched a young cashier, maybe 19, her hands trembling slightly as she scanned groceries. Her name tag read Harper. Her ponytail was soaked with sweat. "You okay?" he asked quietly as he came by with a cart of canned beans. She startled, then forced a smile. "Yeah, just a little backed up. We're short today." "How long you been up there?" She glanced at the clock. "Since 8. It's almost 2. I was supposed to switch with Kyle at 11, but he's still on carts." Isaac frowned. "You haven't had a break?" Harper shook her head. "Dale said no one gets a break until the rush ends." He looked at the line. It wasn't ending anytime soon. Just then, another cashier, a tall girl with dark braids, leaned over to Harper. "I'm about to pass out. I asked Dale again, and he told me if I step off that register, I'm off the schedule tomorrow." Isaac's stomach turned. He walked toward the back room, making a show of grabbing some extra boxes. Dale was there, talking to a young guy in a stock vest. "Hey, Dale," Isaac said. "Just wondering, are we allowed to take breaks during rush?" Dale barely looked up. "Only if you're not on register." "Why?" "Just heard a couple of the girls haven't had water or food since early this morning." Dale huffed. "You want to run register for them, be my guest. But if people can't handle a little rush, they're in the wrong job. You earn your break here." Isaac clenched his jaw. "Don't we have to legally give them a break after? Are you a manager?" Dale snapped. "No." "Then do your job and stop worrying about other people." Isaac nodded slowly. "Right." He returned to the floor, but his mind was spinning. This wasn't a staffing issue. It was a leadership one. He spotted Harper again. She was holding onto the register like it was the only thing keeping her upright. She stumbled slightly as she handed a receipt to a customer. Isaac walked back to the stockroom and found a water cooler. He grabbed 2 bottles, walked straight to her register, and slid one across the counter. "Take it. You need it." She looked up at him, eyes wide. "Thanks, Rick." She cracked it open with shaking hands. Dale spotted it from the front office window and stormed out. "What the hell are you doing?" he barked. "You don't hand out water like you're in charge." She looked like she was going to faint. "She'll be fine. You're not paid to babysit." Isaac stepped forward, voice steady. You're right. I'm not. Dale narrowed his eyes. What's your problem, new guy? Isaac looked him straight in the eye. You. The tension didn't ease after Dale stomped back to the office. If anything, it thickened. Isaac moved through the store methodically, noting what he could without drawing attention. He continued stalking, but his eyes were on everything else, the way team members avoided Dale's gaze, how they flinched when his voice came over the intercom, how they seemed to move faster when he was nearby, not with urgency but fear. He waited until Harper's line thinned out, then stepped quietly beside her register while she was bagging the last of a customer's items. You need anything? He asked, voice low. She gave a small nod. Just hoping Kyle comes soon. I can't feel my feet. He scanned the front windows. Kyle was still outside pushing carts, his shirt soaked through. There were no other baggers in sight. You ever had to skip your break before? He asked. She hesitated. Only when Dale's closing. He says we're lucky to have ours. A man in a button-down shirt with sleeves rolled up came to relieve the cashier beside Harper. He gave her a side glance and leaned in slightly. You're still up here? He whispered. Yeah. He shook his head. I've got 5 minutes. I'll talk to him. Before Harper could respond, Dale's voice cracked through the intercom again, asking for someone to check the freezer thermometer. The man sighed and walked off. Isaac clocked the interaction and continued working, but quietly followed the man to the back room. He caught up near the break table. You a supervisor? Isaac asked. The man looked at him, then glanced around. I guess. Depends who's asking. Rick, Isaac said, sticking out his hand. New stalker. The man shook it. I'm Leo. Been here 4 years. You like working here? Leo gave a dry laugh. Depends on the day. Isaac raised an eyebrow. Leo leaned against the wall, arms crossed. When the old manager was here, we had each other's backs. Schedules were tight, but fair. Dale came in last year. Things changed. He cut 2 positions, made us double up, and says he's just trimming the fat. But the only thing getting leaner is morale. Isaac nodded slowly. Why do people stay? Some can't afford to leave. Some hope it'll get better. Others just stop caring. Isaac looked toward the freezer hallway. You've raised concerns? Leo's jaw tensed. To the district guy. He said he'd look into it. That was 8 months ago. Isaac thanked him and returned to the floor. As he turned the corner toward dry goods, he saw Dale standing near the security monitors, sipping coffee. Isaac paused just long enough to hear him mutter into a walkie. If I see Harper slow down again, I'm pulling her off the schedule next week. Isaac's grip tightened on the cart handle. By mid-afternoon, the store was even busier. A produce vendor was unloading in the back, and the stock team was now down to 3. Kyle had finally come in from carts, but was immediately sent to clean up a spill near deli. A customer was complaining loudly near the seafood counter, demanding to speak to someone above the kids with name tags. Isaac pushed through the crowd toward the front when he spotted Dale talking to a woman in her 60s. She wore a green apron and had a long gray braid. Her name tag read Maribel. She stood with her arms crossed as Dale spoke sharply. You were supposed to prep the rotisserie chickens by 2. They're still cold. Maribel responded calmly. I told you this morning, the heating element's been flickering since yesterday. I called maintenance twice. Dale scoffed. I don't care. You make it work. Or, I'll find someone else who can. That's a safety issue, she said evenly. You want to talk safety? How about I write you up for insubordination? She didn't move. You do what you need to do. Isaac stepped forward. Everything okay here? Dale turned. Mind your business, Rick. This doesn't concern you. It kind of does. If the heating's faulty, we can't risk serving undercooked poultry. Dale stepped in closer. You stocking shelves or running the damn kitchen now? Isaac met his eyes. I'm paying attention. Dale stared him down, then turned sharply and walked off. Maribel let out a breath. "Thank you." "You shouldn't have to deal with that," Isaac said. She gave a short nod. "Been here 15 years. Seen 4 managers. This one's the worst. Makes threats like it's part of the training." Later that evening, the back room was quiet as Isaac snuck into the office while Dale was distracted on the floor. The scheduling board was a mess, names scratched out and replaced with no warning, multiple shifts listed for the same person on overlapping dates. He took pictures of the logs and time cards, noticing that Harper had clocked in at 8 but had no recorded break. He moved quickly to the break area. Kyle sat slumped at the table, sipping a juice box. "You good?" Isaac asked. Kyle looked up, eyes rimmed red. "Just tired." "You've been out since morning?"
"Yeah."
Dale said carts weren't getting done fast enough. Isaac sat down across from him. "You tell anyone you needed help." "I tried. He told me to man up." Kyle's voice cracked. "I'm 17. I'm doing this part-time." It's not supposed to feel like punishment. Isaac felt something shift inside him. Not anger, resolve. He stood, walked straight to the front of the store, and waited until Dale finished chewing out a bakery associate for not labeling a tray. "Dale," Isaac said firmly, "we need to talk."
"Now."
Dale rolled his eyes, but followed him into the hallway near the office. "Make it quick," he grumbled. Isaac pulled off the hat, then the glasses, then unhooked the fake beard. Dale's expression changed slowly, confusion giving way to unease. "What is this?" he asked. "I'm Isaac Weller," he said simply, "owner of this chain." Silence. "I've spent the last day watching you intimidate and threaten staff, ignore safety concerns, deny breaks, and dismiss every person who asked for help. You've created a toxic, unsafe environment. And I'm done watching." Dale's face turned pale.
"Wait.
"Look, these kids exaggerate. It's retail. They're soft." Isaac stepped in closer. "You bullied a cashier until she almost collapsed. You threatened a woman with 15 years of service over your negligence. You treated a 17-year-old like a workhorse. You don't lead. You exploit." Dale shifted. "I can fix it. Let me." "You're done," Isaac said. "Hand over your badge. Your employment ends now." Dale hesitated, then slowly unclipped his name tag and placed it on the desk. Isaac motioned to Leo, who'd been watching from the hallway. "Call HR. Have them send someone from compliance. Tonight. I want a full review of every personnel file here." Leo nodded, stunned. Within the hour, Dale was gone. Word spread fast, but Isaac didn't make a speech. He simply walked the floor, one aisle at a time. "Harper," he said gently, approaching register 2. She turned, startled. "Take your break."
"Now."
"Then come see me in the office." She blinked. "Wait, you're..." He nodded once. "Go rest. You've earned it." She stepped back from the register slowly, another associate sliding in to cover. Isaac turned to Leo. "Let's talk about how we fix this. Together." The office door clicked shut behind Isaac as he sat in the worn swivel chair Dale had occupied just hours earlier. The air still carried the stale scent of burnt coffee and something metallic, maybe from the broken fridge Maribel had mentioned earlier. Leo stood across from him, arms at his sides, eyes steady but cautious. "I called HR," Leo said. "They'll send someone from compliance tomorrow morning. What do you want to happen in the meantime?" "Stabilize," Isaac replied. "That's the priority. No one gets pulled from shifts, no one gets threatened, and no more skipped breaks. We need to hold the line until help gets here." Leo hesitated. "We're still short 3 people tonight. Kyle's done for the day, and I think Harper's close to her limit." Isaac nodded. "I'll cover frozen. You handle registers. Rotate people out for 10 minutes at a time, just enough to breathe." Leo blinked. "You're serious?" "I didn't take off the uniform," Isaac said, grabbing a stock vest from the coat hook. "Let's go." The rest of the evening moved like a body recovering from trauma. Not healed, just trying to breathe again. Harper returned from break and quietly resumed her register, but Isaac noticed the subtle way she scanned customers, now more deliberate, less panicked. Maribel had stayed late, unasked, to help close down deli. Leo, now the acting manager, handled front-end coordination with a quiet steadiness that suggested he'd been ready for this role long before today. Around 8, Isaac stepped into the freezer aisle. The temperature hit him immediately too warm. He checked the thermometer near the seafood wall. It was off by at least 10 degrees. He walked briskly to the back receiving door and flagged down Jamal, the night stalker who had just come in. He was in his early 20s, headphones around his neck, moving pallets with practiced ease. "You ever notice the freezer temp off?" Isaac asked, pointing back toward the aisle. Jamal nodded. "Been like that since last weekend. I told Dale Tuesday." He said, "It's not my department." "Did anyone else follow up?" "I don't think so. Most of us just avoid storing anything back there too long." Jamal paused. "You knew?" "Sort of," Isaac said. Jamal tilted his head. "You look familiar." Isaac smiled faintly. "Let's just say I've stocked more shelves than people think." He made a note to call maintenance himself. If products were spoiling, that wasn't just a health risk, it was money bleeding straight through inventory. By closing, the store had quieted. The buzz of fluorescent lights filled the silence in the way only empty grocery stores could. Leo was doing a final walk of the front end. Harper had gone home an hour earlier, exhausted but upright. Isaac sat at the break table, feet sore, arms heavy. Maribel approached, holding an old clipboard. "Found this in the bakery drawer," she said, setting it down. "It's the old shift rotation sheet. We used to use it before Dale replaced it with his own system. This one made sure no one worked more than 5 hours without a break." Isaac flipped through the pages. Ink-stained, crumpled corners, but it was clear someone had cared about keeping things fair. "He said it was inefficient," she added. Tore it down on his second week. Said, "Retail isn't daycare." "Would you help me bring it back?" Isaac asked. She raised an eyebrow. "You serious?" "I'm not here to play CEO. I'm here to clean house. I need people who know how it should run." Maribel gave a slow nod. "Then yeah, I'll help." The next morning, Isaac arrived early.
No disguise.
No borrowed name tag. Just a navy button-down and a spiral notebook. The staff trickled in with mixed expressions, some confused, others hesitant. Leo stood near the time clock, casually explaining the situation to those who asked. By 9, most of the morning team had arrived. Isaac stepped onto the floor near Register 1 and cleared his throat. "I know some of you are wondering why I'm here," he began. "My name is Isaac Weller. I own this store and 11 others like it." Silence. "I came here undercover because I was tired of hearing secondhand versions of what was going on. I wanted to see it for myself. And I did." He let the pause settle. "What I saw was a team doing everything they could under pressure. And a manager who made that pressure worse. That changes now." He scanned the group. Harper was standing near the bakery display, arms crossed. Kyle leaned against the cart corral, eyes wide but focused. Maribel stood beside the deli case, unreadable. "I've removed the previous store manager. Starting today, Leo will serve as interim lead, with full support from me and corporate compliance. We're reviewing every policy Dale changed, and we'll be reinstating the systems that prioritize safety and fairness." Someone in the back, one of the newer stalkers, raised a hand. "Are we getting any help? Like, more people?" Isaac nodded. "We've already posted for 3 additional staff. In the meantime, I'll be on site, and shift leads will be rotated to prevent burnout." He closed the notebook. "If you've got concerns, bring them to Leo. If you feel like you're not being heard, bring them to me." As he stepped down, there was no applause. Just a strange, collective exhale. like a room finally releasing tension it didn't know it had been holding. Later that afternoon, Isaac reviewed the incident reports filed by staff over the past year, most of them and signed or filled out halfway. Many described things that were hard to read: threats to cut hours for speaking up, shifts extended without approval, racial comments made toward Jamal by an assistant who no longer worked there never followed up on. He met with HR that evening, sitting in the office with a compliance officer, Naomi, who had driven in from headquarters. "Burnout's one thing," she said after reading through the files. "This is systemic neglect." And it wasn't just Dale. A couple of his assistants followed the same playbook. Isaac leaned back, fingers steepled. "Then we clear them, too. I don't care if it leaves us short." Naomi nodded. "You want me to start a night? Let's meet with them first. If they deny it, they're out." The first assistant, Morgan, was called in. She was in her mid-30s, with a tight bun and sharp blazer. She sat down quickly, arms crossed. "I already heard Dale got canned," she said. "So what now?" Full inquisition. Isaac didn't react. "Did you ever deny staff breaks?" "We rotated when we could, but sometimes people exaggerate." Naomi slid a paper across the table. It was a statement from a cashier who had asked for water during a 6-hour shift and had been docked 15 minutes off the clock for it. "This your handwriting?" Naomi asked. Morgan squinted, then shrugged. "Could be." Isaac leaned forward. "You're done."
What?
"You can't, we can. And we are. We don't retaliate here. Not anymore. Leave your badge on the desk." Morgan stood, face tight, and walked out without another word. 3 more assistants were reviewed that night. One admitted to looking the other way, another broke down as they confessed they felt powerless to challenge Dale. Isaac kept 2. One was new. The other had tried to escalate concerns and had been sidelined for it. By closing, the management roster was half its original size and the store was quieter than it had been in weeks. Not silent, just steady. As Isaac walked the aisles one last time that evening, he passed Harper near dry goods. She paused, holding a clipboard. "You staying long?" she asked. "Long enough," he said. "Why?" She shrugged. "Just want to make sure this wasn't a one-day fix." Isaac met her eyes. "It's not." She gave a small nod and turned back to her task. He watched her for a moment, then moved on, aisle by aisle, past the place where he'd first broken down boxes, where Kyle had nearly collapsed, where Maribel had stood her ground. It wasn't fixed. Not yet. But it was starting. By the end of the week, the rhythms of Store 9 had shifted, but not in any glossy, overnight way. The air didn't hum with perfection. It breathed with effort. The kind that left people tired, but not broken. Isaac knew the difference now. He arrived early that Friday, not to inspect, but to participate. He'd met with HR twice since the shakeup, reviewed over 30 employee statements, and signed off on a full audit across all 12 stores. But the real work was still on the floor. As he walked in through the employee entrance, Leo was already at the chalkboard near the time clock, sketching out the day's coverage. "I had to pull someone from bakery to support dairy after lunch," Leo said, not looking up. "We're still down 1 associate, but I've got coverage for the peak hours." Isaac nodded. "Anyone new starting next week?"
One.
Grocery stocker. Young guy. Quiet. Came recommended by Maribel. Isaac adjusted his sleeves. "She's got good judgment." Leo clicked his pen, then paused. "You want me to keep running point once things stabilize?" Isaac looked at him. "I want you to run this store. Officially." Leo blinked. "You're serious? You've already been doing the job."
Steady. Fair. No ego.
"That's what leadership looks like. I'll have the paperwork ready Monday." Leo didn't respond right away, just gave a small nod and turned back to the board. Isaac moved through the aisles. The freezer had been repaired 2 days earlier. He checked the thermometer, holding steady at the right setting. The vendor deliveries were being logged with time stamps. Now Naomi from compliance had implemented a new verification process to prevent the kind of mismanagement that had gone unchecked before. In the break room, Harper was eating from a small container of pasta, earbuds in. She removed one when she noticed Isaac standing by the doorway. "You got a second?" he asked. She nodded, setting her fork down. "I wanted to ask if you'd be willing to train the new hires on front end. Not full-time, just a few sessions to start." Her eyes widened. "Me? You've got a good read on people," he said. "And you kept the front end running under pressure. Most wouldn't have survived. I trust your instincts." She looked down at her food. "I'm not great with talking in front of people. Training's not about speeches. It's about showing them how to do it right. You do that every shift." She gave a small nod. "Okay, I'll try. Start next Wednesday. I'll have Leo block off the time." As he turned to leave, she called after him. "Thanks for coming here. I don't think any of us really thought someone would."
He paused.
"Neither did I. But that won't happen again." By midday, Isaac was helping unload a delivery in the back. Jamal was organizing the pallets, checking labels. "You've been here 3 years, right?" Isaac asked, sliding a crate onto the dolly. "Almost 4, Jamal replied. "Started when I was still in school." "You ever consider moving into logistics? We've got a regional role opening soon. Inventory forecasting, vendor coordination, and site visits across 4 stores." Jamal paused mid-scan. "You think I could do that? You're already halfway there. You catch mistakes before they become problems. I've seen your logs clean, accurate, no gaps." Jamal set the scanner down. "I'd need training. You'd get it. And a mentor. Not just a title bump." Jamal nodded slowly. "I'm in." Isaac stepped back into the main store round 2. Maribel stood near the prepped food section, watching another associate rotate the hot case trays. "Everything hold temperature this time?" Isaac asked. "Checked it myself this morning," she said. "It's solid." "Good. Got a minute?" They walked to the side hallway, away from customers. "I want to offer you a lead position, not just in deli and tire food prep. You'd oversee 3 departments, train new leads, and work directly with our food safety coordinator." Maribel raised one eyebrow. "That's a lot of hats." "You've already worn them. I'm just giving you the authority you've earned." She folded her arms, thinking, "I'll need 2 more part-timers if we're scaling food prep that wide." Done. "And I want final say on who comes in. If I can't trust them to wash their hands properly, I'm not training them." Isaac smiled. "You've got it." She held out her hand. "Then I'm in." That evening, as the store eased into closing, Isaac met with the entire crew in the break room. Not a meeting, just a check-in. People leaned on counters, sat on crates, some still in aprons and gloves. "I'm not going to give a speech," he said. "You've had enough of those. What I will say is what we're doing here doesn't stop with this store. These changes? They're going to every location." He looked around the room. "That means more eyes on the floor, more accountability for management, and more opportunities, real ones, for anyone who wants to grow." Kyle leaned forward from where he was seated on a lower shelf. "Even part-timers?" Isaac nodded. "Especially part-timers. We'll be launching a mentorship track next quarter. Anyone who wants to move up, we'll equip them to do it." Someone near the back, a new face Isaac hadn't met yet, spoke up quietly. "What if the other stores don't want to change?" "They won't have a choice," Isaac said, voice firm. "I'll be walking every one of them, just like I walked this one. And I won't be doing it alone. Leo, Maribel, Harper, Jamal, they'll be part of that process." He let the words settle. Not dramatic, just true. After the group dispersed, Isaac stayed behind, wiping down the break table. The hum of refrigeration units filled the quiet. Leo walked in, holding a sealed envelope. "HR sent the final report," he said, handing it over. "They confirmed everything. Dale's records flagged for cause. Morgan's too. Isaac didn't open it. It's done then. Leo nodded. Feels different now.
It is different, Isaac said.
Because we're not waiting for people to fail anymore. We're building something that works before it breaks. Outside, the parking lot was mostly empty. A few cars lingered. The last light of the day stretched low across the asphalt. Isaac stood by the front doors, watching one of the new associates lock up the cart bay. It had taken one bad manager to poison an entire store. But it was the people inside, those who stayed, who pushed through, who didn't give up, that turned the tide. Not out of duty. Out of belief that it could be better. He turned back toward the store, letting the door close behind him. The lights dimmed above, row by row, as the building settled into night. Things weren't perfect, but they were better. And they were his responsibility again, for real this time.